When talking about Gilmore Girls, I've began to notice that a lot of people completely miss this great insight that we were getting the entire time while watching the show. Some people have even mentioned that they feel like we should get a prequel. I've heard Scott Patterson mention it on the I Am All In podcast. But the truth is, at least in my personal opinion, I feel like we already got it. Hello, my name is Kiara, and I am primarily a musician. I love talking about TV so much, so I'm using this channel to basically get out all of my inner TV buff needs. And today, I really want to focus on Lane, who I feel like is so underrated, and just her story, I just feel like needs to be talked about a lot more.
Kiara loves TV. Yes, I made a theme song so that I can talk about all my favorite shows. Oh yeah.
And this is just your disclaimer that this is not me talking about any of the actors themselves, but more so their characters. Please do not attack me in the comments. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, even those who disagree with me. But let's keep it friendly. All right, let's get started with the show. I think a lot of people overlook Lane's story, and it's really sad because looking at her story allows you to see an even bigger part of Lorelai, in my opinion. I was listening to the I Am All In podcast, and something just really struck a chord with me. Scott Patterson was mentioning how like all of the characters are super animated. He mentioned that he looks forward to seeing Rory because Rory is one of the less animated characters, that Rory is more relaxed. And while I do feel like there's a lot of truth to this, I do want to just say that Lane being animated makes perfect sense. It got me thinking about how animated Lane actually is. Honestly, I never really thought about it, but the more and more that I paid attention, she is very animated. And obviously no one can be as animated as Lorelai, but when you look at Lane, you do see a lot of the similarities. I personally have always enjoyed animated characters because I'm very animated myself, and so it helps me see myself in television, which is very, that doesn't happen often. I strongly believe, and I don't know if this was on purpose or not, I don't have any knowledge of this, but it is my very strong belief that we were able to already get a prequel through the eyes of Lane. Both Lane and Lorelai grew up in households where they felt like outsiders. I think this is pretty obvious, but I think this is why Lane is constantly taken under the wing of Lorelai. I think this is why Lorelai understands her and protects her and acts almost like a second mother to her, because she understands what it's like to live in a household where you just want to be a teenager and that is not accepted by your family members. Now, is Lane rich? Does Lane come from a super rich family? No. That is where they obviously divide. But the tactics that their mothers use to make them feel manipulated are pretty much the same. Now, what's funny though is that Mrs. Kim does not attack Lane's character as much as Emily. As we know, Emily takes literally any chance she can get to take Lorelai down. It's always funny to me when people say like, oh no, the show is not relatable. These types of people don't really exist, blah, 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 blah. Like, you guys obviously have not lived the same life as me, because I am well aware that all of these different types of personalities definitely exist in the real world. Some of it is a little bit exaggerated, but like these types of characters, these types of people, I've known these types of people, so that's why I'm so connected to this show. These types of characters and personalities may not exist in your world, but trust me, they've existed in mine and they definitely exist. It's just a reminder that like everybody is different. Everybody's having a different experience in this lifetime. So literally just never say never, Jaden Smith. I've known a Kirk. I've known a Suki. I have known a Miss Patty. I have known a Miss Babette. I've known these types of people. So I just wanted to stress that. Like, I hear so many people saying like, oh, I can't watch the show because it's not realistic. I can't watch the show because they have all these super animated people and people don't really act like that in real life. And I'm like, I can reassure you, these people do exist. These people do exist. But back to Lane. I think the main core difference between Lane's relationship with her mom and Lorelai's relationship with her mom, when Emily is trying to do something, it is oftentimes about control. When Mrs. Kim is trying to do something, it is often about protection. It is about her fears. Now, can you also say the same about Emily? Yes. Okay, y'all know how I feel. Okay, y'all know how I feel. Like, let's not even pretend. Let's not even act like y'all don't know how I feel about this character. Mrs. Kim and Emily handle their situations with their daughters very, very differently also. Mrs. Kim reassures Lane that ultimately the reason that she's doing what she's doing is because she does not want to see her daughter hurt. And while to some that may seem like such a small moment and it's very insignificant, it actually means a lot. It's what separates Emily from Mrs. Kim. It's what keeps Emily and Mrs. Kim from being exactly the same, because Emily does not operate that way. Emily, a lot like Lorelai, just feels things and reacts off of her emotions. These two women have a lot of feelings, but if you want to know more about why their relationship pretty much will never work, you can definitely check out my video where I dove deep into that whole situation. Dived? I don't know anymore. The intent is very, very different. When Emily does something, it is to control Lorelai. Let me say that again. When Emily does something, it is to control Lorelai. When Mrs. Kim is doing something, it is very clear that the intention for what she is doing is to protect her daughter. The other key difference, Mrs. Kim is willing to bend herself for Lane. Emily, like I said in my previous video, Emily feels like she's done nothing wrong. She feels like there is nothing for her to change, and everything that she's done thus far has been the best she could do. And maybe it is, because we also don't know how Emily was brought up. But the problem is, if you flip that coin, you could easily say that Lorelai also did not come up from a good upbringing, but still chose to be a good mother. She still chose to parent differently. And I realize that not everybody handles things the same way, but I'm saying that that argument could also be used. Some people could even argue that Emily also wants to protect Lorelai. But whenever Emily does something, it always makes you feel like she's not protecting Lorelai, she's protecting herself. She's protecting her image. It's about looking the best. It's about being the most presentable. It is not about the well-being of her daughter. Let me paint the picture for you. The difference between these two mothers is that one mother actually hears what her daughter has to say and takes it into account. The other mother does not. Emily refuses to push her pride aside. I talked about this before, but Emily does not trust Lorelai. She does not trust that she is adult enough to lead her own life. So in response, she pretty much just blocks out everything that Lorelai says that actually makes her happy. In the episode where Emily throws a birthday party for Rory and invites all those people from her school, Lorelai literally says, "You never tried to get to know me." And that is very evident. And some people feel like, oh, well, that doesn't matter. You know, she should still respect her mother because that's her mother. It's not about respect. Both Lane and Lorelai respect their mothers. Also in the Harvard Alumni episode, you know, the girl with the rabbit, I'm almost a 99.9% sure that when they wrote that scene in with the girl with the bunny costume, she was supposed to be a way for us to see what younger Lorelai was like. But back to Lane. In the simplest terms, both of their names start with the letter L. Both of them have strict moms. And you can't tell me that this was not obviously a prequel because, look at the way that Mrs. Kim and Emily get along. You literally cannot convince me that this is not a prequel in disguise. And I'm just kidding. Like, I don't know if they actually did it on purpose or anything. I'm just saying if they did do it on purpose, they are geniuses. But we already knew that. And I know some people are watching this and they're like, wait, what about Rory though? What about Rory? Rory is Christopher. I feel like Rory in a lot of ways is like Lorelai, but she's also Christopher. And I know I'm not the only one to point this out, but yeah, I see Christopher 2.0 in her. Because think about it, like when we first met Christopher, he was notorious for like job hopping and not really knowing where he was going in life and just kind of floating around. And who else is doing that? I wonder. I don't know. Who else might be? Rory? Wait, that's crazy. I would have never thought that on my own. What do you mean? All right. I feel like Lane is just young Lorelai in a different font, and Rory is basically just Christopher. I'm sorry. Am I alone in that? Also, can we just take a quick moment to just talk about why does Lane's father randomly just show up in A Year in the Life when we've never seen him before? Or at least to my knowledge, I feel like we've never seen him before. And even still, his presence was not important enough for them to try to make him appear in the revival. I honestly hated the whole thing about Lane, like going from being like a girl who was on the path to do her music thing, and then all of a sudden she's working for her mom in the revival. she's basically become Mrs. Kim. And I get it. They were just trying to say like, oh yeah, well sometimes this really does happen to people in real life. They become their parents and they go back home and they never get out of their hometown. But that's one of the things where, and I really want to make a whole video on this, but like, Gilmore Girls often toggles back and forth between reality. Like, some things are dramatized in a way that's like almost cartoonish, and some things are kept in reality. They toggle back and forth through this, and like you have to kind of decipher like, okay, like when are they trying to be realist and when are they trying to be not caricatures, but there's another word I'm looking for, I just can't think of it right now. Anyways, they do this a lot, and I think that's one of the reasons why people get very irritated with watching the show, because not everybody's able to see it from, I think, where the writers intended for it to be. Like, some parts are meant to be taken seriously and a lot of it isn't. It toggles back and forth between this, and I think it's just one of the most interesting things, because I am able to see that. I don't know if I'm alone in that, but I am able to see when they actually want us to take something seriously versus when it's just supposed to be something silly and stupid. I cannot wait to do those videos that I plan on doing where like by each season I'm pretty much like reviewing it and sharing my thoughts about each season. I cannot wait for it because I love this show so much and I have so much to say about it. So many things I think people don't really understand about it too. Just a lot to say. So yeah, I think that Lane is really just young Lorelai, but like they are different in some ways, but in a lot of ways, like it could be, her story could be used to tell the story of what Lorelai was going through, like what she was battling emotionally growing up in a household where you have a parent who is over your life and they don't understand you. I love Lane. I love her bubbly personality. I think she is one of the most funniest characters. I want to give a round of applause though for the animated character. I feel like a lot of people really hate on animated people, and I think, you know, like it's weird to me how people do not enjoy the Jim Carrey super animated stuff. I live for that stuff. I don't care. I'm always gonna live for that stuff deep inside. I hope that this video actually was helpful in explaining exactly what I meant. I've seen in my comments that a lot of people are asking for longer videos, but I don't know how to make it so that everyone is happy, and I obviously know that it's not really possible to make everyone happy at once. But I was wondering how many people do share that opinion that you want longer videos. So far, the only thing I've been able to come up with is like making longer videos and shorter videos so that it kind of benefits everybody. But then I'm like, if I do that, what about the people who see a topic and they wanted a short video on that topic? Or maybe I'm overthinking it. That is also possible. So if you would head on down to the comment section, let's all remember to be kind, okay? There's no reason to throw hate at me and call me ugly because I don't like Logan. And also I want to clarify one more time on the whole Logan thing. I said this in the comments, but I'm pretty sure not everybody has read it. And unfortunately, I'm not able to go back and redo the Rory Gilmore hate video. So I'll probably forever have to explain this. I do not hate Logan as a character individually. When I said I can't stand him, I really was just thinking about how I can't stand him with Rory. It was more about Rory. I just wanted to let everybody know that, and I doubt anybody was even thinking about that. But anyway, if this is not your first video, thank you so much for coming back. Also, how did you guys feel about this video? Because I didn't go back to my TikTok video inserted in the video thing. I'm sort of back to my old style. I think I figured out another way to do it that actually works. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And this is where you can check out my other videos. Ting. No, but seriously, check out my other videos because I like to talk a lot about Gilmore Girls and the shows that I like. Okay. Kiara loves TV. All right, I'm out of here. Okay, bye.